So it gets pretty intense with some of the people holding on to some of these badass players. My team's bad this year because I went like all in last year. Yeah, the other league that I just joined, this is my third season into it. I won it last year. It was the first year we did a keeper, and I drafted John Connor in the 16th round in a 12-man keeper league. So that was quite beautiful.
Okay, so the stream is up. You guys are more than welcome to share it right now.
Is it on your personal? So it should pop up on mine.
Yeah, I'll get it on my Facebook. I should have tagged you in it. Can I link it right now? I don't think I can. Well, yeah. How do I? I don't know if I can add it when it's already streaming. You know what I mean? Like I could add it in like the. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A little bit, bits and pieces. How rough was it?
Well, I mean, great defenses on both sides. As much as I hate to agree with Chris Collinsworth, like him talking about like the preseason, these guys not playing, it really showed, especially on offense with with these guys really being able to blend together and playing off each other. Like defense, you just go out and hit each other, Like offense, it's all about rhythm. Yeah, very like last 2 minutes is when Trubisky took that pick.
Tyler, do you have your headphones? Okay. Can you turn down? I know you have to hear us through your speakers, but can you turn it down just a little bit? Because I'm kind of. I hope we don't feedback.
Hello, hello.
We'll see in a second. So. All right, guys, are you guys ready?
Yeah, man.
All right, looks good. All right, here we go. You ready? And 5, 4, 3, 2. What's up, everyone? How are we doing? My name's Amp. T-Dubs, my co-host. He's in the screen right next to Coco's face, and that's Coco.
What's up, guys?
If you missed last night's show with Funny to Informing, he tuned in with them, helped them out, which was awesome. And you had a lot of sports conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, dude, we're a sports podcast. How are we not collabing on this? So decided, talked to you last night after the show, said, Coco, please come on the show, man. We got a lot of good stuff that we want to talk about. So that's cool. And T-Dubs, as always, he's the co-host. T-Dubs, you went on a bachelor party cruise. Freaking awesome. One of our best friends from back home. He's getting married. Yeah. And how was that, man?
Yeah, shout out to John, shout out to Shay. Don't know if they're ever going to listen to this, but if they ever do, hope they feel love from that. It was a blast. The bachelor party, of course, was just debauchery, just straight up, craziness. What more can you say about a bachelor party but craziness? And then you put 17 of us on a boat. Bad things are down.
I hope it wasn't just a sausage party.
To the ship itself.
I hope it just wasn't a sausage party, man.
I mean, I'm a taken man, so
good answer.
I can't really speak for myself, but I know I know a lot of my friends had a lot of fun.
There you
all
go.
I gotta say. Yeah. And but anyways, a little bit more about me. I'm Tyler. T-Dub, as you like to call me, as I prefer to be called. And yeah, I'm a writer for the Turf, and I'm a co-host here with Amp at 60 Minutes Suspension, and we are so excited to have Coco here with us today. From funny to informative, is that what it is?
Funny to informing, yeah. I actually ran my own podcast for a while. Me and my co-host did it for a couple years, and that's how I met John and Chris from Funny to Informing. And they wanted to start doing kind of a football segment or just a sports segment in general. So I'm going to be on their show once a month, just kind of helping them out. And hey, man, it's an honor to come on here, dude. Anytime I get an opportunity to talk some sports, man, I'm down.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
thanks, man.
I like
Yeah.
the-
Again, like I said, like after I met you yesterday, you just seem like just fun knowledge, which is great. And sorry, everyone, I'm producing and doing the live thing simultaneously, so I'm doing all the duties today. So just making sure the volume sounds perfect on y'all's end. And so far, everything sounds good. So we'll go with that. T-Dubs, what an interesting freaking week in sports this was. And I mean, we were off last week, with everything going on, but dude, Zeke gets a new contract. AB goes bonkers on Mike Mayock, of all people. Just so much. And then you and I had our fantasy draft this past Saturday, or Sunday past Sunday, and you were on an airplane while that happened. So just so much we got to get into in today's show. Let's dive into the AB thing, because that is the biggest thing right now.
That's nuts, dude.
Right? Isn't that crazy? When you first heard about this, right? Okay, so when I first heard about this, I heard suspension. That was like the key word. And this whole conversation was suspension, AB suspended.
Well, that and saltine cracker. Like I heard cracker done came out quite a bit in that conversation, and I was like, damn. But it's nuts, man.
Isn't this
like,
crazy?
How can you address somebody who is basically your boss, who signs your paychecks, and today comes out and you're gonna play week 1? Like, it's okay. You apologize. We're friends. Like,
what?
It's with the amount of money that's involved. Like, I mean, I understand that he is a once in a generational receiver for the most part, but you try to look back and compare, like, where have we had issues like this before with receivers or just players in general? Randy Moss had his little bit of issues, but the one player I really kind of compare him to, what I see, is Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
Like, Terrell Owens, when he left San Francisco, like, he went crazy with the Eagles after a couple years. He went down to Dallas for 2 or 3 years, went crazy with them, and then kind of bounced around to Buffalo and Cincinnati towards the end of his career, doing push-ups and sit-ups in his driveway, having it out with Donovan McNabb. But nothing to the extent of, like, I'm going to cry over a helmet, I'm going to freeze my own feet off, like, I'm going to try to choke out my general manager. Like,
This is crazy.
It's nuts.
T-Dubs, what'd you think?
I just think AB in itself, I'm going to bring up something, I've been thinking about for a little bit. This could be like early signs of CTE.
You think so?
That's how crazy that's how crazy and outlandish all this stuff is. This stuff is that you think it could be like, something that's like really wrong with him, because dude is acting stupid. Dude is acting like he's all.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
I get the helmet thing a little bit, but eventually
I've heard
you
a
gotta
lot of
move
people
on.
talk about that CTE, man, in regards to it, but we've never seen anything like this in representation of CTE. It's always more like more of like a mental breakdown, but not in the type of mental breakdown that AB's having. It's more of just like a deterioration, suicidal thoughts, and just everything going wrong within your life. I mean, this man has got a $30 million guaranteed contract, and he decides to freeze his feet. Hey, whatever. Like, come on. But if you're the Raiders,
Not only that, as a veteran, he's guaranteed his $14 million if he plays one game. He risks, starting game 1. That's your $14 million guaranteed.
oh yeah,
But he was. I think he's just so in a bad place right now for some reason that he's putting himself there. I don't know why, but he's in such a bad place that he's willing to risk that money to I don't know, prove a point, choke out his general manager, and then call him a litany of names, and then it's just ridiculous. It's crazy how It's just something you don't. We've never
No.
heard of this.
No.
have we?
I can't think of a time.
I've heard of Percy Hartman, choking out his coach, down in Florida. I heard of situations like that, and that's because I know Percy had like bad headaches. So is that linked to this?
I just feel that
this
the Raiders
aggressiveness? I don't know.
themselves in general are just a dumpster fire themselves in regards to like management and everything.
Oh, trash.
Because number one, AB already had that history coming out of Pittsburgh. Like he had it where he's skipping out practices. He's recording videos in the locker room of his coach after they told him not to post stuff on social media. Like the Raiders knew what they were getting into when they brought him in there. And once he got his guaranteed money, I don't think AB gives a shit, in all honesty. Like, if they cut him, if they trade him, he's still going to get paid because there are teams out there that are still going to give him the money if he passes a physical because of him being that once in a generational player. Like, next 2-3 years, I think you'll see him fade out of the league as his skill level drops because the headache is going to be, worse than what the talent is. I mean, you can honestly look at like Tim Tebow being a headache, Colin Kaepernick being a headache. If they were the grade of talent that AB was, they'd both be in the league right now. So that's the biggest difference is talent outweighs the headache. And look, let's be honest, besides maybe a small assault charge on his general manager, AB's really never done anything illegal that it's more just been negative towards him, versus what Zeke does, or we're talking about new contracts. Tyreek Hill just got a new contract.
Yeah.
So,
that child abuser.
That's crazy.
Man, to give you context, like if you're just joining in or tuning into the story or trying to understand like what exactly we're talking about, maybe you just don't follow sports all that much. AB has had a wild offseason, and to catch you up, like you were talking about with the frozen feet, the helmet fiasco, and now most recently, basically this all started because Antonio Brown posted a social media post of a letter that he received about a fine that he was going to get. And he posted that, and Mike Mayock came out and said, listen, no, we're not doing this. You're going to be suspended. And right? Is that kind of how it went down? And then Antonio Brown, in a meeting, was like face-to-face with Mike. And
in front of the team.
John, like everyone's there, like slams him against the wall, like pulls his fists up, starts cussing at him. We don't have the exact words, but USA Today reported this and said Raiders source confirmed information from another league source who said Brown called Mayock a cracker and unleashed a barrage of cuss words during the altercation.
Maybe he was just hungry.
It could have been some saltines. The team source said Mayock tried to keep his cool and defuse the situation. Mayock, and I quote, Mayock, I'm cool. I understand your displeasure, end quote. Mayock goes on and says, sort of just walked away because, he didn't say that. He just kind of walked away from the situation before it escalated. The source stressed the confrontation escalated quickly, but it never appeared to be getting physical, and players, including linebacker Vontaze Burfict, attempted to separate Brown from the situation.
That's the voice of reason right there, is Vontaze Burfict. Oh, my God. When you have him playing freaking the mediator in between an altercation between people, your locker room has gone to shit. But, hey, let's be honest. We now know who controls this locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not Mayock. It's also not Antonio Brown. It's John freaking Gruden.
Yeah.
He's
John
there
Gruden.
for 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't see Mayock lasting 2. Mayock's going to collect his big checks, and he's going to go back and work in a booth somewhere.
Did you guys see on Hard Knocks? This is how much this is John Gruden's team. On Hard Knocks, Keelan Doss was like dropping balls in the game. He's like, who do I blame? Oh, the GM, Mayock.
Yeah.
Give me some guys that can catch.
Yeah, that's the problem, man.
Like, who talks to the GM like that? Because normally the GM is the boss of the head coach.
Gruden makes more money than Antonio Brown.
Literally,
He's making more money than Mayock. Like, that's the one guy they can't get rid of is Gruden, because they owe him so much money on that 10-year contract that whatever he wants, he's going to get for the next 7 to 8 years. And the Raiders are all in on him. And so, when Mayock came out and was like, we're probably going to suspend him, Gruden probably went and knocked on his door. Hey, Malak, come in my office and have a seat. We're going to talk about what we're actually going to do with Antonio Brown here. We didn't just pay him $30 million and revolve our offense around him to have him sit out week 1. We're trying to win a conference title here. And, he probably went in on him, and Malak's just like, what the fuck else can I do? So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild.
Mayak's the bitch of the organization, that's for sure.
To continue on, basically today, AB issued an apology in front of the team. It was
Very
really
empathetic.
emotional,
Very
right?
empathetic.
Emotional. What was the other word they used? It was quoted. Emotional apology. An emotional apology is what ESPN called it. Yeah, and he's right in front of it. And then John Gruden came out and said that he's expecting Antonio Brown to play week 1. So,
You guys fans of The Office by chance?
Good for one of my
The Office? Oh, yeah, The Office, yeah.
So do
yeah.
you remember there was a scene where Dwight had to apologize to the entire office, and he got presented in front, and he had his apologetic speech. He's like, all right, go ahead with your, it wasn't an apologetic speech, but it was something like that.
I love it.
And he steps up and he's like, this is my apologetic speech. And then just closes the envelope. Everyone's like, that's Antonio Brown. That's what he did today. Don't fire me. You said I had to do an apologetic speech. This is my apologetic speech. And done.
So I got to ask you guys, what do you think's going to happen now? Okay, so we've had the helmet issue, we've had the feet issue, now we've had a physical altercation. Now I know everyone's saying it wasn't, but it clearly was. What are we expecting out of this whole situation? Let's start out with John Gruden, right? Okay, we were just talking about him. Let's talk about his mentality going into the season. You have questionably one of the best receivers in the league, and he's not calming down. How do you manipulate that into a winning season? How do you take that and control that?
I think the best way to really go about it is to just kind of
Just put him on a field.
either go all in and make moves on him, or just ignore
Hey,
him.
what's the old mindset
'cause
mentality?
the bitch
Winning
does-
cures all. It don't matter what your ailment is.
That's true.
Winning cures all. If Oakland comes out and smacks Denver in the face this weekend and shows that they have an offense against what some are calling an elite defense with Denver this year, and they're able to say win 3 of their first 4 games and they're now 3-1. I tell you what, you're not going to hear anything coming from the Antonio Brown camp. But I tell you, in the opposite direction, they go 0-4 to start off this season. I give it 4 weeks, and you'll be able to really see on where this season's going to go within 4 weeks for Oakland and where Antonio Brown's going to go.
And just FYI, if you're watching right now, please chime in on all these topics. Right now, we're talking about the Antonio Brown situation. I got a couple more questions with that, and then we're going to jump into the Zeke contract. But if you're watching, please chime in. Let us know how you feel about AB. Is he a pussy? Is he a whining bitch?
He's a clown.
Whatever you want to say, it's up to you. That's the whole point of this show. So please chime in and let us know. Okay, so you're saying winning cures all. From Mike Mayok's perspective, right? You make this incredible move to bring in this top-notch receiver to help out your quarterback who's good, great, maybe not good. We don't know. We're still figuring it out. You got this new rookie running back. You have a nice talent pool, but then you bring in this new guy and he's being a crybaby. As a GM, how do you approach this? Because now you guys have actually had an altercation. It's made mainstream media. Now, obviously, the coach is going to support the player first because, he's got to play for him. But you're the GM. You're in the office. How awkward is this for Mike Mayock now from moving forward?
I think he realized how awkward it was a couple weeks ago when, like you said, with the comment from Hard Knocks with Gruden. And I really think that he knows that Gruden runs this show. Mayock's just there is kind of just because they needed somebody to have that title. And is more of kind of a friend of Gruden who can really kind of give him advice and help him with stuff.
Right. That's where I'm coming from with the Mike Mayock situation. It's like John Gruden and Mike Mayock are tight, right?
Yeah.
They're really tight. So John Gruden has to be in the worst position possible because he's got the best wide receiver in the league, and he doesn't want to lose him. But then he's got his best friend over here basically getting threatened by that guy. So it's like
Gruden, the coach, is different than Gruden as a broadcaster, though. We saw that back when he was originally with Oakland with Tampa. When the visor comes out, when Chucky steps onto that field, he's all about winning. And damn if it's, he dealt with Keyshawn Johnson down in Tampa.
That's true.
So he dealt with somebody who really came in with an ego. And I think he's going to somehow find a way to really reel Antonio Brown in, especially. And again, it all comes down to winning.
Right.
But if it doesn't work out, I don't think you're going to see any altercations. I think the ownership and Gruden have talked to Mayock as well in regards to, look, we got to start keeping this stuff in house, regardless on what he does. Because if Mayock steps out of line, I think it's easier to get rid of Mayock than Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that's true.
You've invested assets and draft picks into getting him. You invested money into a large contract to keep him there. If Mayock steps out of line again, if he's too preachy in regards to what he's trying to do, it's easy to get rid of him and bring somebody else in.
T-Dubs?
Yeah, what else can you do? Like he said, I agree with that. He worked with Keyshawn Johnson. That's a great reference to this whole situation.
Yeah.
Because Keyshawn was out. For his time, he was out. He was an outspoken person. He always wanted the ball. He always wanted the attention. He wanted the spotlight. That's why I ended up working, at a desk for ESPN and whatnot for a couple of years. Maybe still, I don't know if he still is. I don't think he still is. But, he likes that kind of shine. And AB is similar to that, very much so. And I think Gruden did a good job, like I was trying to allude to earlier. I think ignoring the situation of the diva-ness of a receiver coming from, head coach or GM really kind of, reverses that trend sharply. I know they're always going to be who they are. You can't take away who they are. You can let them be who they are until it starts to backfire on them, and then they'll eventually understand that. But if you keep feeding into it and saying this is wrong, this is bad, divas also tend to be rebellious people.
He just needs to stop going after the league. With the helmet and everything like that.
Yeah.
If you leave the league alone and you just do your stupid antics, you freeze your feet off, you come in a hot air balloon, you're a little outspoken on stuff, that's one thing. But the moment you start trying to sue and go after the league, that's where it gets a little bit scary, because now you're, the coaches, the general managers, the presidents, the owners of the team.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to support the player as much as possible, and that'll kind of segue into your Ezekiel Elliott thing as well too. But there's only so much support we can give you before. I'm honestly surprised that after that altercation and the information that's just come out to us, knowing there's more shit that hasn't come out to us, that the league hasn't stepped in and been physical altercation. We don't care what you guys do. Antonio Brown suspended for week 1.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Did he try to sue the league though? I know he filed some grievances, which is basically just an appeal. But if he tried to sue the league,
I don't think he tried to sue the league. It was just the grievances. I misspoke on that. But going after the league in regards to a helmet,
it's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
And the fact that it was just AB, if it was another player too, obviously it still would have been made fun of the same way we made fun of it with AB. But the fact that it was AB, it was almost, he's just trying to draw attention. And it turned into a helmet sponsorship. They got all these helmet companies wanting to help design a special helmet for him.
Well, I think he went to eBay and was like, "Hey, someone find this helmet for me." That's what he did. He went out to social media and said, "Someone find me this helmet because this is what I want."
He did that. He was able to get the helmet. The NFL still didn't allow it because it was deemed unsafe.
A year.
So all these helmet companies came to him and were like, "Let us design a helmet for you. Not only will we make one that you like that fits the league standards, but we'll pay you to sponsor it. We'll write your name on it, and we'll pay you to be the spokesman for this as well."
Wow.
So he turned it into more money.
Incredible. Real quick, I want to chime in on these comments real quick. So Big Mig, he chimes in on Twitch. Thanks for watching. People will forget all things once he snags TDs, like you were saying about the winning cures all. And then TJ chimes in on Twitch. TJ, thanks for watching, buddy. Is AB really a once-in-a-generation receiver? Question mark. Or has he just been the best receiver in the last few years? Question mark. Good question.
A great question. But if you look at his overall numbers from let's go back to the last 5 years. He's not only led the league in receptions, I believe, in a few of those years, but also yards. Overall, between yards, catches, and touchdowns, he's been in the top 5 categories statistically over the last 5 years for those. And if you look at his like overall numbers, I think he's got a couple like fastest 2 records where most catches within X amount of games, fastest 2, or most yards within. To me, like, obviously, if you just looked at his numbers over the last 5 years and compared them to, let's say, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens at this stage in their contract, or at this stage in their careers, without actually putting names to it, you'd be like astonished. But the problem is that with his name attached to it, it was the same reason that T.O., it took him so long to get in the Hall of Fame, although he had top 5 statistical numbers across the board for a wide receiver. It's because of the antics that it brings. I don't know if the league will ever let Antonio Brown in the Hall of Fame, although with the numbers he's putting up, it's going to classify him as a Hall of Fame quarterback by the time his career ends.
I think for sure he's a for sure surefire, 100% like lead pipe lockdown Hall of Famer. Might not be first ballot, much like T.O. And he doesn't have that ring yet, if I'm correct. No, he doesn't have that ring yet. And he probably won't get it with the Raiders, so that'll be another market against him. But I think he's an elite receiver, and I think he's, it's hard for me to say once in a generation because we could like spout off like 6-7 receivers that I've, in my generation I've grown up with. But elite, to me, yes. Once in a generation, I think you're talking like a Jerry Rice type player. He's not Jerry Rice.
Nobody's Jerry Rice. Let's first and foremost be clear about that. That's the number 1 receiver ever. But if you want to put him in a category of, like I was saying, Terrell Owens, Marvin Harrison, Torrey Holt, going down those lists, those were during their times in the league. Those were guys who were number 1, number 2 receivers in the league. Jerry Rice's prime was late 80s or through the 90s, obviously. Then you had Randy Moss, but even Randy Moss had a couple down years going to Oakland, and really had to kind of pick that back up going back to New England. And I think he still retired a little bit ahead of his time too. But Antonio Brown is definitely a Hall of Famer. It's just depending how much of a statement is the league going to put on him by making him have to wait like Terrell Owens did.
Yeah.
So real quick, sorry, what were you going to say?
Go ahead. I didn't really have much of a thought.
Real quick, thanks again, you guys, for chiming in on these comments. Big Mig, one more time, he says he's undeniably the best, and he has been quiet until last season. So I say deal with it. TJ chimes in, been on a good team though. Calvin Johnson is more physically gifted receiver in my opinion, and then he supports you, T-Dubs, in your comments. Now, I do want to emphasize we're going to move on from this here probably right after these last statements, and we're going to talk about the Zeke contract because I think it's really important to talk about it because it's kind of the future of where we might see where running backs contracts may go. So interesting to go to. But last comments on Antonio Brown here. Overall, so we did John Gruden, we did Mike Mayock. Antonio Brown as a player, let's say next year, 2 years from now, are we going to see these antics continue, or are we going to see him stop here?
I don't see him changing, to be honest with you. I mean, but again, come out and make 100 catches, put up 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But the moment he starts dropping off, just like with what happened to T.O., T.O. jumped around the league once his numbers started to kind of decline a little bit. He went from San Francisco to Philadelphia to Dallas, then to Buffalo, then out of the league, then ended up for like one season. And even his last season with Cincinnati, I believe he still had like 60 catches and 700 or 800 yards, not even playing a full season with them, which is still very productive. But he just wasn't worth the headache anymore. So I think once that guaranteed money's kind of set with Oakland, once Antonio Brown gets it, I think it'll be 2 or 3 years. Once everything's paid and done with, he steps out of line, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Somebody else will pick him up on a 1-year deal, guarantee $7 or $8 million on a $50
What's the age
contract.
at this? Like 30 now?
I think he's 30, yeah.
He'll be 30 at this point?
So he's 30,
or is he 30 right now?
He's 30
so,
right now. That's what I'm saying.
About
1-2 years. So,
he might be
and he's
31.
not. And again, we're talking Terrell Owens. We're talking Calvin Johnson. We're talking Randy Moss. He's not as physically gifted as those guys, being 6'3" and above, 200 and something pounds, where they're able to body people up. He relies a lot on his speed, and with most speed receivers, they start to decline in their early 30s. So,
so your question was, will his antics keep up in the next, 3 or 4 years or so?
Yeah.
Basically. They're going to Vegas.
Good point.
My boys, he's going to be lit. He's going to be suspended an average of 2.5 games, and the Raiders will put.
And he'll be sitting up in the MGM Grand with Floyd
Right.
Mayweather, fucking with Money Mayweather, just chilling.
Yeah, him and Money Mayweather are just going to be making it. And their whole entourage is just going to be strippers.
Yeah.
Hey, how about this? In 4 years, when they kick Antonio Brown out of the league, there's an MMA match between him and Money Mayweather.
Oh,
Just to pull money in.
Just,
Just for
we're crossing
money.
sports. We're crossing sports. It's cool. All right, so let's move on to the Zeke contract. Guys, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching. This is the Amplified Network. Now, this show is called 60-Minute Suspension, but Amplified Network has tons of shows. We got the Funny to Informing, we have the Theater Goers, and then we also have 60-Minute Suspension. And we're always looking for new shows. Coco.
It's
just
coming.
Keep an eye out for us. We're always trying to grow. So thank you guys for supporting. Go to YouTube, go to Twitch, go to Facebook, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're at 45 follows on Twitch. We need 5 more. We're trying to reach 50. Please give us those follows on Twitch right now. Follow us, please. We're only 5 follows away from our 50, and then we only have to break 3 views.
I'll follow you. You'll be 4 away.
Please do. Thank you. Yeah, we are so close, and it's driving me crazy. TJ, thank you for the support. He's saying great show.
I'm not sure if I follow this right now. I'm not even
Well,
sure if I
dude,
follow
hurry
this.
up, man. Come
I got
on.
a couple kids too, man. They know
Let's
what Twitch
go.
is.
Let's just get some follows in there. I don't care. Just follow us on Twitch, please. All right, so moving on to the Zeke contract. Okay, so we're a little late on this, obviously. This happened a few days ago, but still, this is huge. Okay, so to catch you up, Zeke was holding out all preseason because he wanted to get paid, but the whole point of it was the reason he wasn't getting paid, he had 2 years left on his rookie contract.
On top of being able to lock him up with why am I drawing a blank?
Deke or
Yeah,
Dak?
No, Zeke.
No.
And on top of being able to lock him up with their what's the thing when they lock up a player in the last year of their deal instead of letting him go to free agency? Why can't I think of the dang name?
Amari Cooper.
What was it?
What?
Are y'all saying who? I'm sorry, I wasn't. I was replying. I was replying to Brian, but did y'all say who they're trying to lock him up with?
No. So, like when a player's
franchise tag. That's
so
what
they got 2 years and the franchise tag left on Zeke.
Well, they were saying they could drag it out for 4 or 5 years because you can just keep franchising
Yeah.
tagging him for a while. So
That's what they did with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, anyways, moving on to the Zeke story. So, basically, to catch you up on the whole situation, he was holding out all preseason to basically be the highest paid running back in the league was his goal. Now, obviously, Jerry Jones is the GM and the owner. Stupid. He basically was like, no, we're not going to pay you. You still have time on your contract. We're not going to deal with this. This was literally a back and forth for the whole preseason. So he didn't show up for anything. Like, he wasn't at practice, training camp. He wasn't at any of the games.
He was down in Cabo.
Yeah, he flew up from somewhere to go sign the contract. I forgot where. What was it?
I think he was down in Mexico.
Yeah, it was Mexico.
was
He was
Cabo.
in Mexico. Literally, flew up to go sign the contract that he was waiting for. Before I tell you exactly what the contract was, before I say this number, because both of you guys know it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. So before I say this number, do you guys think? No. Don't worry about it. Okay. So, because I had a way I wanted to go with it, but don't worry about it. So I'll just say the contract. Anyways, so this is the contract that he signed on Wednesday, okay? It is exactly $90 million for 6 years, okay? Now, that sounds like a lot of money, okay? But you also got to keep in context, he's a running back who basically gets pounded 30, 40 times a game, right?
And it's also just added on to the 2 years he has left, so he's under lock for the next 8 years.
So yeah, he's locked in for 8 years. This is what it's kind of structured out to be. He's guaranteed $50 million. That's $15 million per year average on the extension surpasses the 14.4 that Todd Gurley got from the Rams last year, which he was guaranteed for $45 million last summer. And then if we even look back a couple years before this, Adrian Peterson, when he resigned, he was guaranteed, I believe, $40 million.
Yep.
And that was 2 or 3 years ago. And he was guaranteed $30 million at that time. Or was it 40? I think it was 40.
I think it was close to 40. I'm not sure if it exactly hit that.
It was close to 40. So my first question, before anything else, is this worth it?
I mean, in my opinion, like running backs in general get screwed over because the league turns and burns them so quickly. Teams turn and burn them so quickly that, I mean, once you hit that contract year, it's so easy to just go out and draft another running back in the second, third, fourth round. Give you an example. I'm a Bears fan, and damn, they suck last night. Their offense especially. The defense played great. But they had Jordan Howard, who has been one of the most productive running backs over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And they traded him for nothing to the Eagles, and because they didn't want to pay him next year. And they drafted David Montgomery, who looks like he's going to be a stellar back from everything he's seen in the preseason and what he's done in college, on top of already having Tariq Cohen and then also signing the other running back from the Eagles, Mike Davis.
Yeah.
So, and they got him for 3 years, $9 million, so $3 million a year. Like, so their running back core now consists of 2 guys still on rookie contracts and a veteran for 3 years, $9 million. So you can put all that money into all these other positions, which a running back gets banged up the most, you know. So for Zeke to bet on himself and say, look, I'm not going to do this. I know I'm at my prime right now. I know you guys need me. I know Jerry Jones is 98 years old or however old he is, and he wants another Super Bowl before he dies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to bet on myself on this, and he bet on himself, and he held his ground, and Jerry Jones, who owns the most valuable sports franchise in the world at over, what was it, $6 billion?
$6 billion.
$6 billion opened up the checkbook. Now they not only re-signed him, Jalen Smith. I think they re-signed.
It was a tackle. It was a tackle or a guard.
Oh yeah, Lionel Collins.
Yeah,
and you got Dak Prescott sitting there going, "When am I going to get paid?"
Yeah, seriously, because you still got Dak, and then you still have Cooper, who eventually is going to want to get signed or re-signed, because I think he's only on a 1-year deal or something like that.
Yeah, both him and Dak are on the last year.
Man,
I would not give Dak the money he's asking for, anyways. But besides that, I think this contract set the market at a nice value. I think Coco hit on it earlier when he said running backs kind of get shit on a little bit when it comes to this, or they kind of get used and abused. I do believe in the running back by committee approach, but I also do believe in the individual special running back as well. I think you can approach a running back by committee, and I think you can have an Ezekiel Elliott special running back. I think he's pretty special. Paired with that offensive line that they have there, his talents plus that offensive line is dangerous. There's a reason he's the rushing champ twice.
Yeah, the offensive line.
In 3 years. he was an All-Pro as a rookie and an All-Pro rookie.
Look, the scary thing to me about Zeke, though, is, you know, he does get a ton of mileage on him already for the first couple years he has in the league. You not only just gave him 6 more years, but he's got to play out the next 2 years. So now, you know, I've heard you just throw him in there and beat the crap out of him because now he's paid? Or now are you worried about your investment and you're going to limit his reps? But also on top of that, I think he's a 2-strike player in the NFL in regards to, you know, incidents he's had with, you know, the chick with the girl in the parade and his girlfriend and stuff like that. He's one, like, sneeze on a chick away from, like, getting suspended for, you know, another good, like, 8 games. Like, you know, and where's your money go from there?
Nope, I didn't do it. No, it was
didn't
close.
hit her.
It was
Didn't
close.
hit her. But that's the scary fact is that, just like with Tyreek Hill, like, you know, Tyreek Hill, they only gave 3 years. I can't remember what the guarantee was, but, you know, to me, the Tyreek Hill contracts, hey, we'll give you 3 years for what you did for us last year. And, you know, we'll give you that 3-year contract with some guaranteed money in it. Prove it, and we'll give you a bigger contract when you can keep your head clean.
right? That's
Zeke, they said, nope, all in.
See, and that was the thing that you just said with the mileage and stuff, and that's how I see it going forward now. Is like, what?
And don't forget he got wore out at Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, because you basically just signed away like $50 million or whatever it was, $50 million guaranteed to this guy who you're basically going to run 30 times a game. I mean, he's literally going to be touching the ball 30, 40 times a game. And we're not talking about like, hey, go make that run route real quick and we're going to throw it, you know, like 20, 30 yards. Like, you're literally going to be running between 300, 400-pound dudes, and you're going to be getting beat up at least 10 to 20 times before you even maybe get a home run hit, which you're still going to have to run over 2 or 3 guys to do. I mean, physically, can he keep this up? I mean, this is nuts.
Well, the only thing that makes sense to me is I believe that I kind of read that there are a few like personal clauses within there that they can pretty much rake majority of his guaranteed money if he does something stupid. Number one, but number two is I'm really interested to see the structure over because although it's a 6-year, $90 million deal, it's just being tacked on to the other 2 years. So how is that guaranteed money being stretched out over that time frame?
Yeah.
When does that guaranteed money expire? Because it was just like, again, being a Bears fan, when we signed Jay Cutler to the long-term deal, we signed him to a 5-year deal with like $40 or $50 million guaranteed, but that guaranteed money was only for the first 2 years. So the contract was technically a 2-year deal that if he wasn't playing well enough, we can get rid of him, which we kept him for 1 more year as we tried to groom, other quarterbacks and just didn't work. But I mean, if that money is all front loaded on there or stretched out over, say, a 4-year period now, like that $50 million where he's getting $15 million guaranteed each one of those years, it's really a 4-year contract with 2 that he's got and then 2 more into it. So I'm really interested to see the kind of the verbiage on the contract with him just to kind of see, and it'll come out because all the analysts will always come out and be like, look, this is, he's got 8 years left on his deal, but it's really only for 4 and they can cut him at that point. So
do you guys think he was deserving of the contract?
Statistically, yeah. I mean, I give him all the kudos and the credit for betting on himself against Jerry Jones, and it just makes me think that Melvin Gordon's sitting over there. And although Melvin Gordon's a good running back, he's never put up the numbers like Zeke has because he's had a little bit of injury problems. But Melvin Gordon is sitting over there going, "You motherfucker!" Like, I got this cheap owner in this little ass stadium out in freaking LA, and he's sitting there in that $2 billion Superdome that they have down there in Texas, getting paid all this money, and Melvin Gordon knows he ain't getting shit from the Chargers.
No, that was another one I wanted to talk about, but it's pointless. It really is at this point. All right, so I mean, unless you have one more thing to say, T-Dubs, about the Zeke thing, I'm ready to move on.
I think it's resetting the running back market, which I think is
thank you. No, that's
deal.
a good point. I almost passed over that. Thank you.
No, well, I mean him and Todd Gurley. I mean, I don't think a lot of running backs are deserving of this kind of money. Leonard Fournette's going to have a freaking stellar year to be in consideration for this type of money, but I know he's thinking that type of stuff. Other players like we just mentioned,
Saquon Barkley eventually.
Right, Barkley's
I think he's
the
next one really to get paid big.
Saquon Barkley's definitely going to.
Saquon Barkley will break the market. He'll break what I don't see anybody getting what Zeke's gotten until Saquon, and then Saquon will break the market.
Right. Okay.
But
yeah. I'll agree with.
But that's the biggest
for sure.
difference between the running back position because there are so many teams that run a committee, and there are so few, I guess you would say, elite running backs. I mean, Kamara actually might break the market beforehand, especially if he comes out and has a big year this year. So you got.
He'll barely break. He'll
just be over the top of it. And then I believe McCaffrey and Barkley, didn't they get drafted the same year?
Yes.
So Barkley, if he's smart, will wait for McCaffrey to get his deal, and then he'll outdo him.
Wait, no. McCaffrey was drafted before Barkley.
Was he?
The year before?
Yeah.
Well, that makes it even better for Barkley.
Right.
So I think that's your pecking order right there is going to be Kamara, McCaffrey, and then Barkley, everyone outdoing the next one in regards to what they're getting. But over 50% of your teams really don't have a primary back. They're timeshare.
Right.
They have other people to do it. So you're really, even with having him kind of setting the new mold for where that high tier is, it's not like quarterbacks. It's not like receivers where you have a plethora of those guys where every year it's who's the next one that needs a big contract. They're getting something. The next one after that, you're getting something else. It was Odell 2 years ago. Then it was Michael Thomas this year.
Right.
Next it's going to be Julio Jones, who's in the last year his contract.
Yeah, he's
going to
coming around the corner.
So that's what I'm saying is every year there's somebody else who's going to set that bar.
Look out for Julio Jones in the next day or so. He's going to get paid in the next day. Or
so. Exactly. So all right.
Could be while we sleep tonight.
Well, I'll be happy with that because that segment weighs me into fantasy football. And if you guys didn't get a chance to, or if you did get a chance to, I actually posted our live draft as we were doing it live, and it might have distracted me a little. I think a couple of picks there, I kind of wasn't paying attention as much as I wanted to, but I think I had a good draft overall.
Or as much as I wanted to.
And well, Tyler, let's talk about it real quick because you were there for half the draft, right?
I feel like you had a strategy. You specifically had a strategy. I was asking.
I was
nicely
not.
for you,
No, listen.
Please pay attention to your picks because I am in and out of Wi-Fi in like what 10,000
Something
feet
like
in the air.
that.
I don't know how fucking
Right.
high a plane is, but that's how high it
So-
was. And
Right.
And I was every now and then I would go to auto draft and it seemed to be just
No,
around. the
not
time
every
where it was
time.
like,
No,
your
no,
pick.
maybe a couple times. But to give you context, so fantasy football, if you don't play or if you do play, real quick, so fantasy football is basically like a make-believe NFL team. But they're real players. They're just, in this fantasy world of your team. And so basically you draft these players at some point before the season starts and you hope that they don't get hurt. You hope that, they don't get traded to shitty teams, stuff like that. You hope that they can actually produce. That's the whole point of drafts. So you draft them just like any other NFL draft. You got your highest picks to your lowest picks.
You want to hear the best definition of fantasy football players that I heard the other day? So fantasy football players are Dungeons and Dragons players are like fantasy football players. They suck at, but fantasy football players, unfortunately, they suck at fantasy and they suck at football. So, they just call them fantasy football players. So I was like, wow, okay.
So
fun.
Tyler and I have been in this league for 4 or 5 years now. I've been in it a little bit longer than Tyler. I got him to come into the league. One of our really good friends, Mitch, who lives in California, he's the commissioner. So we've had this league for quite some time. This is the first year we've done keepers. To give context of what keepers are basically like you had them on your team last year, and because you got them at such a low bargain last year for your draft, and the following draft, which is this year, you keep them. And then that draft pick that you kind of spent on them, you lose like one up of that draft pick. So like I got Baker Mayfield on my team last year. His ADP was like 16, something like that, round 16. So we took away my round 15. So I didn't pick round 15. Tyler, who did you keep?
I kept Tyler Lockett, who was I think rated like around 15 last year, and I know he was going around like round 5 this year.
So
value.
So I thought
you got to keep him. So yeah, me and Tyler got to keep him. So then we got our draft orders. Draft orders are supposedly randomized, but I swear to God, Tyler and I have been in the bottom 9 and 10 at least 2 or 3 years in a row now.
I've definitely been 9th.
I swear to God, I've been 10th at least 2. I swear to God.
I love that tail end position though, man.
Well, yeah, I do and I don't. I don't like it every single year because then I don't get like a nice Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. Like I would like one of those guys. That'd be great. So anyways, we knew about Tyler. You got to explain this because we knew about the draft date like 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance, man. How are you on an airplane the day of the draft? I got to know this. I got to know what happened.
I got to say, Hurricane Dorian, I just got off a cruise. We talked about this earlier. We cut an island off of my cruise. And I'm sounding like an asshole for talking like I was complaining because the Bahamas absolutely got slammed.
It's fancy football. It's okay.
But just to give you how serious the situation was, we didn't even go to a specific spot for our cruise because of the hurricane. So when we got home in Jacksonville, I had to hightail it out of there as soon as possible. So I wouldn't get delayed. I couldn't afford to lose another day of work. I can't do that. So I had to get out of Jacksonville, and that was the best bang for my buck, best time slot. And JetBlue usually has very good Wi-Fi, but this time they even warned us ahead of time. They were like, we're probably going to be flying in and out of service a little bit because we're going to be flying so high. And I was like, oh, you motherfucker. And so that's pretty much how it happened.
So
is there a monetary investment in this league?
Yeah, $50.
Okay.
Yeah, we put $50 in every year. And I don't think Tyler, I haven't won it. Have you won it yet? No, not Mitch's league. No. Yeah, so okay, so let's just kind of run down it because we're kind of going over the time that I wanted to go. So we'll just kind of lay out our team roster. Tyler, if you want to go first, and if you can, remember who you did pick and who you didn't. If you can, I don't know if.
Okay, I can do that. First of all, I went DeAndre Hopkins in the first round. I try to do it by round as best as I can. I don't have
number 9 overall, good pick.
Yeah, number 9 overall went DeAndre Hopkins, and I think I went back with that. This is a PPR league, so I think I swung back with Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's who I went with. And then in the
Third round.
third round, I think I went with
It-
Mark
no.
Ingram or Josh
No,
Jacobs,
so
one of
it
the
ended
two.
up. This was one of your auto picks. I remember this distinctly. So I came back around third pick, and then you got Antonio Brown, and that was an auto pick.
Which isn't a terrible setup. I'll take, like, Antonio Brown could be a top 5 receiver.
Look, I'll tell you the benefit that you guys are running is that you're only in a 10-man league.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that
running
definitely
back-
helped a lot.
Not as many people are picking running backs. Will be left a little bit more. But 3 receivers, your first 3 picks, man, you had to be when you finally got connection and you saw you still didn't have a running back, you had to be shaking a little bit.
I was shaking, but I do appreciate who my running backs are.
Yeah.
actually.
So yeah, here you go.
I like Mark Ingram this year. I think he's pretty good back. I definitely think they're going to depend on him a lot in Baltimore behind Lamar Jackson. And then I got Josh Jacobs as a rookie. Bench running backs, I have Matt Breida.
Well, hold on a second before you move on, because I remember this one too. This was an auto pick also. You got Melvin Gordon,
Oh God.
and that was an
I got
auto
Melvin
pick.
Gordon, and it was an auto pick, and it was like early.
So were you about to lose your mind the fact you had Melvin Gordon and you thought Antonio Brown was about to be suspended?
I was already losing my mind. I was cursing so much.
He was so mad. He was so mad.
Amp was being,
Tell me
Amp
you
was
drafted
being
Andrew
such
Luck.
an asshole. For real. Amp was being such
I was not being an asshole.
Because you literally said it's not my problem.
Well, I did say that, but it wasn't. But I'm sorry.
Asshole. So yeah, I got Austin Hooper as my tight end. Bench players, I got Matt Breida, Melvin Gordon, Corey Davis, Golden Tate, which was my very last pick. DK Metcalf, and I got Mark Andrews as a tight end. So
Who's your QB?
And QB, Russell
Okay.
Wilson. So team is rough. I'm not gonna lie.
So my favorite pick out of your draft, though, and I'm serious about this. I love the Matt Breida pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely love that pick. Like I was really upset that I couldn't get him because
I'm worried about him losing time a lot of times.
yeah,
in
but
different
he's
games
going to be
because I
a
think
touchdown
that-
guy.
Not
though.
only that, but the fact is coming into this preseason is the hype was all surrounding around Tevin Coleman, who has really underproduced coming into the preseason, and everyone put the hype around him because the coach out in San Francisco, coached him in Atlanta. He was the offensive coordinator. So he's got familiarity with the type of system that he runs. But the fact is that Breida last year, having, with 2 backup quarterbacks, really nothing else going. He ran for almost 5 yards a carry, put up about 890 yards overall. He did have a little bit of injury problems, but Breida's come out this preseason and really looked good. And I do think it'll be a little bit of a timeshare, but I really think it's going to be more Breida, about 70%, with Coleman kind of coming into that role, the same role that he really played in Atlanta, where he'll have some big games, but for the most part, the consistency with Breida is, to me, is a borderline RB2, definitely almost an automatic flex play every week.
I have some running backs. They got to prove it, but I think that they have some upside.
Yeah, Josh
That
Jacobs
makes-
scares me a little bit. You really just haven't heard anything about him this preseason. You've heard a lot more about a lot of other people, and that could just because of the Antonio Brown drama that's been going on in Oakland. It's kind of taken away from everything else that's going on. But they have a lot of pass catching backs, so I don't think he's going to get you a lot into PPR. And it's going to have to do with Derek Carr really being able to stretch that field a little bit with Antonio Brown staying on the field to be able to open up the run game for Josh Jacobs. But I don't mind that pick. Mark Ingram, again, not going to be a PPR guy. He really wasn't a pass catcher too much in New Orleans. And Baltimore also drafted a guy named Justice Hill, who's almost a Darren Sproles type player. Smaller back, really shifty out of the backfield. And I think as he settles in a little bit more and he starts kind of getting a little bit better in that pass blocking, you're going to see Justice Hill a lot more on the third down. Probably about halfway through the year, I think he'll take over his primary third down back and really become kind of a fantasy relevance at that point as well. So if he's available, keep an eye on him. But yeah, I mean, overall, because you had the first 3 receivers and you got Tyler Lockett. Are you guys just 1 flex or 2 flex?
1 flex. We have 3 wide receivers though.
3 wide receivers
Yeah.
and then plus a flex, wide receiver, tight end, running back?
Yep.
Okay, so, I mean, you definitely got some options with the 10-man league. That's what's good about a 10-man league is you're always going to have options. It's just about playing the proper matchups. I would watch Odell coming into the week game this week because he's saying he's able to fire the engines. He just can't go full throttle. He's saying he's a little bit sore right now, so I would keep an eye on that. But, I mean, I think the Browns are going to blow out Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to work them, too. I think they're going to work Tennessee. But that, I like, you talked about something a second ago. Anyways, we can move on.
All right, real quick. Yeah, I'll dive through mine as fast as possible because it's okay. I've titled this the most riskiest team I've ever drafted in my life. I've never drafted so risky ever. Like, this is pure risk because honestly, this is a very high reward team, but it's a very, very possible shit team. So let's kind of go through it. I had 10th overall pick. So all the great running backs, pretty much your top 3 or 4 were pretty much gone at this point. So I went with Julio Jones first overall. Not bad at 10. Okay. And then right behind him, I picked up Mike Thomas. Got a new contract. So I went with a possession receiver and a home run hitter. Because Mike Thomas is going to get you the PPR points.
Well, both of them will. I mean, Julio Jones is actually going for, I believe, his 6th consecutive season with 100 catches.
Incredible.
So both of them are going to get you a ton of points in a PPR league.
He's shooting for 2,000.
What?
He's shooting for 2,000 yards.
He's shooting for a new contract first before he decides to put up 2,000 yards for Atlanta.
Yeah, he said he won't touch the field without a contract.
I believe they'll get it done for him, and they better because I did pick him up in the first round of one of my fantasy drafts as well. But
come on, Julio.
But it's okay. He's going to get on the field, and he's going to prove his worth this year. So, but yeah, no, I like that. I'm just kind of I'm really interested to. I'll have to dig into you guys later. What running backs were left that neither one of y'all picked up a running back at the tail end of that draft?
I can tell you right now. At that point,
if you say Connor or Mixon,
Mixon was
or
available.
Le'Veon.
So Mixon, Kerryon, Le'Veon, Mixon. That was it. Yeah, up to that point, because I don't think they would have passed us. So
it's very scary taking without a running back.
So I'll explain to you why I didn't take these guys, okay? And Tyler, you can chime in too if you want to, because I have some reasons why I didn't. Right? Cook, first off, the most injury-prone top running back out of.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch Cook.
He was my first not going to touch. Kerryon Johnson, we don't know anything about this guy.
This is true.
He's brand new to that system.
Detroit's got a rough offensive line. He was there last year.
I'm not sold on it.
No, I got
Le'Veon Bell is the only one I was thinking about, but you got to think, this is 10th overall pick. Mm-hmm. So I'm also passing up Julio Jones, Mike Thomas, Odell Beckham,
Well, no, I'm
Juju.
saying you pick one of those two.
Right. Well, hold on a second. Because I was on the fence to get Travis Kelce. This tight end is you and I were talking about this a little bit. I was really close to getting him over Mike Thomas, and the only reason I didn't, I've gotten a tight end probably first or second, my past 4 or 5. I've always tight end high. I've always done that.
Never worked out well for you.
And it just doesn't really, you know what I mean? So I passed it up this year because I was like, you know what? It doesn't get me very far, And so this year I'm going with 2 dual head, stud wide receivers.
Yep.
Man. I honestly think I have the best wide receiving core, excluding Tyler, because Tyler has some studs. DeAndre Hopkins and OBJ. Yeah, OBJ's, injury, suspension, whatever. He's on the fence. But, dude, when he's on fire, he's probably the second leading scorer in the league. But
Tyler's got a top 2 knucklehead wide receivers in the league.
DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. I think DeAndre Hopkins is one of the more consistent.
I think he's the best receiver in the game.
So in my mind, I'm
close to agreeing.
So in my mind, I just thought Mike Thomas, Julio Jones, what a fucking all-star.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
again, like I said, you guys have the benefit of the 10-man league,
right.
So running backs are going to be a little bit more loose. If I did that in a 12-man league, first off, neither Julio or Mike Thomas would have fallen to me in a 12-man PPR league at the 12th overall pick. But, if that would have friggin' happened to me, I probably would have scooped up the same thing you did. The only thing I think about Le'Veon Bell is I think Le'Veon Bell is actually going to be a top 3 running back this year.
Maybe. Because you got to think about Sam Darnold has a lot to prove. And that they're going to want to throw the ball.
But what's going to happen with Le'Veon Bell's first off going to open that up for Sam Darnold, and once Sam Darnold starts producing, you can't stack 7-8 in a box, and it's going to open up for Le'Veon. And who's going to be
the offensive line is
that's a lot.
Sam Darnold's not that
Yeah,
good.
that's the other thing too. He's not that good. That's kind of where I was trying to be nice about it. When I was saying he has a lot, it's just not that good.
See,
So they're gonna stack the box. I mean, it only
I beg
makes
to differ
sense.
on a Sam Darnold thing. I don't think
All
he's
right.
I don't think he's a perennial Pro Bowler.
All right.
But I do think he is a good enough quarterback that I actually last night picked him to win the division.
We'll have this
over New England.
conversation in 18 weeks, and we'll talk about it.
Pick them to win the division. The Patriots.
They will win the division this year.
Pick them to win the Patriots division.
I think the Jets defense with Le'Veon Bell taking the pressure off of Sam Darnold. Look, Darnold didn't have anyone to take the pressure off him last year. You have that go-to running back. You got somebody who you can dump it off to now. This year.
Oof.
This year. That's it's my homer pick. It was my homer pick going through like who's going to be the champions of each of their divisions, and I
Yeah.
picked the Jets last night. So
Okay. How many other years have you picked the Jets?
never. I'm a Bears fan. I'm not a Jets fan. But I think
Yeah.
I thought the Patriots were still going to be solid last year. It really, really worries me that without Gronkowski, with Keenan Neal, their rookie receiver, going on IR, them relying on Demaryius Thomas, who's coming off an injury. They've got like 2 or 3 of their starting offensive linemen who are hurt, including their starting center, who's probably not going to play the entire year. The Patriots still haven't shown they have a
Demaryius
pass
Thomas is
rush.
gone.
I just don't see them holding on to that division this year.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas is gone. All they have is Josh Gordon and
When did they drop him? Because they
Edelman.
re-signed him after Neal went.
Oh, they've re-signed.
Yeah, after Neal got
I'm
hurt.
pretty sure
Yeah.
they re-signed him. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Neal, their first-round draft pick receiver, they put on IR and they re-signed Demaryius Thomas a couple days ago.
Oh my god.
All right. We're getting
I
way
had
off
no
topic here,
idea.
guys. I want to talk about my risk
sorry,
take
sorry.
team.
Josh
I'm
Gordon's
very
going to get
proud.
suspended by like week 4.
No, it's not.
Cam,
No, it's not. Don't you put that evil on me. We're gonna get there in a second.
Am,
What?
Do you have to draft?
Yeah, I got it pulled up. I found it. Yeah, so
cool,
I got it here. Okay, so Julio, Mike Thomas, obviously studs. This is where it gets interesting, okay? Because now you start getting these running backs where you're like, we'll see where they go. And I think I got probably the two most like consistent running backs. I wouldn't say they're top RB1s, but they're definitely in the running for RB1. So Devontae Freeman just got a new contract. It's got a stud offense. They're going to do nothing but score.
Was hurt all last year.
Well, he's not now. He's healthy now. He's healthy now.
Look, I have him in one of my leagues.
You guys
He's the
are ridiculous.
scariest thing that I
I hate
picked.
that. I
I
hate this
ended up
thing.
drafting him in the 3rd round.
I hate
of the
this.
12-man league. It's very scary to have him.
No, it's not.
They
Don't
really
say that.
look. I'm scared and I have him.
Don't be scared.
Like,
just gotta have faith,
but
man.
I
Never
think
touch
going,
him.
if you look back 2 years in regards to what he was able to do, and people are like, oh, well, look at their backups. Who's going to take Kevin Coleman's spot? Ito Smith or they got another rookie? Like, not really. It's going to be Freeman's show this year, and if he's healthy, he'll
That's
be
the
a
whole
stud
point.
receiver. Yeah.
He was. It's all him. There's no Coleman this year.
Yep.
Like it is his show. So that's why. And then right behind him picked up Chris Carson. Obvious.
I'm a huge Chris Carson
I think he's
supporter.
going to be incredible.
Um,
He was in the top 20 running backs last year, scoring running backs. I mean, I think he was almost in the top 10.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing that scares me though is that Seattle really never has that offensive line. And if Chris Carson struggles at all, and they could even be blamed
Right.
on the offensive line, they're going to put Rashard Penny in. If they're both averaging 2.5 yards a carry, they're going to put the rookie running back or the running back that they drafted in the 1st round the year before in over Chris Carson. So they're going to try
We'll
to
see.
get as much out of him. But no, I wanted Chris Carson in one of my drafts, and he got taken right before I had an opportunity to grab him. I think he's a stud running back, and I think if you put him on damn near any other team in the league that has a solid offensive line, like he's putting up Pro Bowl numbers year in and year out.
So to explain my next pick, I got to let you know who comes off the board because after Chris Carson, it's just running back galore. You got Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Sony Michel, he was on my list.
Don't want either
Marlon Mack, David Montgomery, and then Josh Jacobs. So then that brings me to me.
James White,
No, he was a keeper because
okay.
he would have been up there.
Austin Eckler.
No, Duke Johnson.
I like
But
it.
this was
You went
before.
Duke.
This was
You went
before they
Duke
had Carlos
Johnson.
Hyde.
Yeah, no.
So I made that pick before Carlos Hyde.
Even with Carlos Hyde, remember Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde played together in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland decided to get rid of Carlos Hyde and keep Duke Johnson. So Duke Johnson's playing against somebody he's already beat out for that position. Plus, he's had the entire offseason. Carlos Hyde is a veteran that's going to come in there that's going to get 5 to 10 touches a game to kind of help run between the tackles to spell Duke Johnson and just be a safety net in case something happens. I like the pick because I think he's going to get a lot of touches. The biggest problem for me with Duke Johnson is, number one, he's going into a really bad offensive line. And, although they did trade for Miami's left tackle, Tunsil, the rest of the offensive line is still in shambles.
They're trash.
But Duke Johnson, he caught the ball out of the backfield for Cleveland. He was never really a runner. So we don't know what he can truly do as a running back. So that's what kind of scares me with him. That's why I actually prefer Eckler over him, even though Eckler is going to be in more of a timeshare situation. But because of receiving out of the backfield, and Eckler is a little bit more proven with that, and he's been able to run through the tackles. They used also Eckler in the red zone a lot when Melvin Gordon was hurt before. So it kind of tells me they're going to do that again this year with him not being there. I prefer Eckler over Duke Johnson. I don't think Duke Johnson's a bad pick, though. Not
Thank
in
you.
PPR league.
Well, that's the last thing I will get from you that is nice, because the rest of this pick, I'm pretty sure I was high. So here we go. 6th round, literally immediate pick after him. I wanted to solidify my wide receivers. These are the options I could have gotten, and I passed on. So these are the options I could have had: Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson, Mike Williams, Kenny Galladay. And then I'll throw in Alshon Jeffrey, D.D. Westbrook.
I got 2 right there that I would pick, but I'm curious on who you picked.
Josh Gordon.
Yeah, you're nuts. So,
and I'll tell you why. Because he seems like he's in the zone.
Because he's high, you were high.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
You guys picked it.
I swear to God, though, man, if this guy takes it into gear, he's got no competition except Julian. And then, Julian's, he's going to get those dumb passes. But Tom needs a home run hitter, and this is it.
Yeah, it's just.
And then not only that, they don't have Rob there anymore. Josh is a big dude. He's gonna be the new Rob.
It just scares the ever living crap out of me. I really like Kenny Galladay and Allen Robinson this year. Allen Robinson came on towards the end of the year with the Bears again.
Yeah, and how well did he do last night?
7 catches over 100 yards.
So yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Him and Mitch Trubisky really worked out a lot this offseason. And plus, remember, Allen Robinson last year was coming off an ACL injury when he got signed. So he really wasn't healthy towards the second half of that year. And he lit the Eagles up in the playoffs. I think 8 or 9 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown. So he's kind of coming on, and I think he's going to have a big year this year. Allen Robinson will have 70, 80 catches, over 1,000 yards, probably 10 touchdowns at least.
Allen Robinson's a top 8 receiver, and I would have absolutely taken him.
The other one I really like is Kenny Galladay. I have him on both of my leagues right now.
Kenny was on my radar.
There's a reason they call him Babytron for a reason. That man is 6'4", 6'5" as well. I think he's around 4.4 speed. He goes up and gets the ball. You got to remember, they got rid of Golden Tate. They still got Marvin Jones on that team to play the number 2 receiver. Galladay is going to be that red zone threat this year. Last year he had 70 catches, 1,000 yards, and I think 6 or 7 touchdowns. I expect him to get another 15 to 20 catches this year, another 200-300 yards, and probably another 2 or 3 touchdowns. So I think you screwed up on that one. Just for the state. Because I think both those receivers will give you similar numbers to what Josh Gordon will if he plays the entire year. However, but that's the question.
He will.
Will he?
No, he will.
Would you rather take the safety net
don't say
and
will he. He will.
2 receivers that have never had off-field issues?
Right. Let's move on. So my next pick, after you guys butchered that one, Kenyon Drake, who I thought was fine, because my only other options were Miles Sanders, who's just nope.
Yeah.
Darius Geis.
Yes.
Over Kenyon
Drake, abso-freaking-lutely.
Darius Geis he's competing against Adrian Peterson. That's his competition.
Look, the only way...
you guys are nuts on that one.
The only way any of Miami's players are relevant
he's the only one that's relevant there.
Is if the NFL cuts the entire team and sends them to the XFL.
No, Kenyon Drake is the only relevant one there. There's no one else that's relevant.
With what offensive line?
He doesn't need one.
When are they going to stop?
So Studley. I don't know. And then it doesn't stop, man. I
like this pick, though, Amp.
I swear to God, I was on the moon. In round 8, so to clarify, I've already got my 3 receivers because Josh Gordon's amazing. In round 8, I go ahead and solidify AJ Green.
I don't mind that late in the draft.
Round
you do
8.
have 3 receivers. He's supposed to be back by week
8.
3 or 4. However, with the type of injuries coming off of, he probably isn't going to be ramped up till 6 or 7. And by that time, if the Bengals are really out of the hunt, how much do you really put pressure on AJ Green to play? So that's the only thing that scares me.
I'm going to kind of fly through these two. Sorry, I don't mean to,
you're good.
to cut you guys off. And then I got AJ Green, then got Marvin Jones, right after that, Marvin Jones Jr. Needed a tight end, so I got David Njoku.
I like it.
And then right behind him got Eric Ebron, just to have those backups. You're ridiculous. And then this is where I just literally had to take a shit. Kalen Ballage. If you don't know who that is, that's the backup to Kenyon
You
Drake.
You really drafted
Yeah.
2 Miami Dolphin
Yeah.
players of any sort?
Yeah,
Let
I got
alone
my
2
handcuff.
running backs?
I got my handcuff.
Nobody wants
I got my handcuff.
Nobody wants the starter, let alone the handcuff.
Not done. It
Sam
only gets
Internet
worse,
was
guys.
off.
It's
My
not.
internet was off.
It's not over. Round 13.
Where's your Miami Dolphins tattoo, by the way, Ben?
I don't know. I think it's under my. But round 13, I get Stephon Kangowski at round 13, and then solidify my defense. Because if you think about it, and the snake system
Yep.
that I was at, it was going to skip 15 because I had Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
so it was going to skip 15. So I wouldn't have been able to get a defense until round 16.
Okay.
So that's why I went with Minnesota's defense. I've already dropped them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
For who, though?
Crap. Who did I'll look at it in a second. Baker was my 15th because my keeper. I'm really excited about this one. Round 16, I was able to pick up Terrell Williams. And I think he's going to be okay. Well, I thought he was going to be great until AB decided to be smart.
I don't mind it. I'm kind of curious on what other running backs were, because if you're going to handcuff Drake, why not handcuff by getting like Minnesota's backup, where you know that their running back has injury problems, getting Richardson out of the Rams, who you know that Gurley is coming off of, maybe going to have some timeshare trouble, even Justin Jackson out of the Chargers, like over Ballage.
These are really good ideas. Let me go see where the waiver is. So as it stands right now, like I said, I dropped the defense. I picked up Baltimore because they're playing Miami. So I picked up Baltimore's defense to put them in. Listen,
I'm kind of surprised Baltimore's still out there, because that's not a bad. That's
I
not
didn't
a bad
think they
pickup.
were still
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
there. So I'm going to say this before you go on this like crazy tangent about defenses. I am a firm believer that only play matchups. I don't believe in keeping one defense all season. I don't do that. I've never done that. Maybe it's lost me a couple of games, but I really don't think so. I don't believe in defenses, and so I don't only play matchups.
Yeah.
I don't care who's there on the board. So I want to be really clear on that. Like, I only got Minnesota's because I thought they were going to be good for the first, and then I realized how strong their schedule is, like for the first 4 or 5 games. And I think Baltimore is going to be a
They're
better.
going to get lit up by Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah.
What about a team like 2017 Jags, who were scoring points like better than most, better than most offensive players.
Right, but once you pass that, like you got the Bears, Jags, and
Rams.
then the Rams, and then
But
after
I'm saying
that,
You know what?
I'm saying if you had the Jags, or like what was the top scoring defense last year? Was it
The Bears.
Baltimore, I think?
The Bears.
Yeah, the Bears, the
Bears?
Jags blew it out the year before. The Bears were pretty much ahead of everyone else last year. My real surprise defense this year that I think is going, and they're out there on a lot of waivers right now, Cleveland Browns. I really think that they are going to go out and smash a lot of teams with that defense. They got a really solid young secondary. They got some pass rush going. They got some guys in the middle that they picked up, Sheldon Richardson, to go along with like Myles Garrett. They got a really good team this year. And what really kind of turned me on to them is they played the Buccaneers, I want to say like week 3 of the preseason. And with that, the Bucs had their starting offensive line on the field with Jameis Winston. And within the first quarter, I believe the Browns came away with like 4 or 5 sacks in the first quarter. Like, they destroyed them. And the Bucs are supposed to have a solid offensive line this year. And just the amount of pressure that they got on them. And I don't think the Bucs are going to be a good team overall. I think they'll be solid. I think with Bruce Arians is going to kind of straighten that ship a little bit. But yeah, I think the Browns are, especially this week, if they're out there against Tennessee, with turmoil over Mariota or Tannehill starting as quarterback, really no offensive receivers to throw to. Like, I think the Browns are going to win by double digits this week, and that defense is going to be a big reason.
well,
I fucking hope so. I really do. I hate the mayonnaise eating motherfuckers.
overall, Tyler, and I don't believe in the report cards. I don't believe in the grades, the post graph.
The person
so
who always
ridiculous.
says that always has one of the lowest grades. So
No,
it's
no,
okay.
I got a B. I got a B this year. Tyler got a B. Tyler's report card says, and this is.
It had me like, just to clarify, it had me like 4th highest rated player, like drafter.
But it says he's going to be in 6th place.
It had me a sub 500.
Yeah, he's going to be 6 and 8.
Yeah, that just determines on like your matchup, like
Case in
strength
point,
of schedule.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense
so
because
the strength of schedule when you have your buys, like that's what it tries to calculate all out with those. Because I had one year where I had like an A+ schedule and I was like the 6th seed projected in the playoffs, but it's because like by schedule, like I played the other like top teams in the league like twice, and on the back end, like I had the top running back receiver out. Like 1 week I played another top receiver running back out, another one quarterback out when I played another top guy. So like I had losses that just kind of came into play off of predictions, and those guys like every time I played them had like nobody out. And half of my like good teams were out, so it calculates a lot of different things in there, not just your overall grade. But
more
like,
reason why it doesn't matter, because there's no way I should be third. It's got me ranked third, 10-4. So it's got me a third overall scored team.
Well, again, grade and overall win loss is going to be two different things. So
I'm just telling you that's how pointless these things are.
The grade goes by like who was available at the time with what your position of need was and how high either you reached for somebody or the value you got for somebody that dropped to you. That's where your grade level kind of goes by. The overall win loss total is just going to be overall projected points for all your positions in a starting lineup for people who have bye weeks and stuff like that. So they're two totally different grades.
And just keeping in touch with me and Tyler, because we do a show together, week 5 is our showdown. And as it stands right now, if everything stands out, I'm supposed to beat him by 5 points because his team sucks.
Yeah, it'll probably happen that way because my team's a bag of dicks. Your team is like not at all. Your team is not at all a bag of Miami Dolphins.
It's not. No, it's only one Miami Dolphin.
Hey, it's all right. He's going to start Kenneth Balaj, and you'll be fine.
Well, to be clear, I dropped Kellen Balaj.
As we were speaking?
No, I dropped him like last week.
Oh, okay.
Or sometime, I don't know. And anyway, they're on bye week 5, so I can't even play with my Dolphins. So suck it, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're empty bag of Dolphins. You're like Ace Ventura.
You're like
without the gym.
your comebacks are so good. It's like it's hurting my head. It's how good they are. I'm gonna go ahead and just pick to win for me now, and you just go ahead and click mine too, because you know I'm gonna win.
Did you vote on yourself?
Yeah, I just did.
I bet you like your own statuses.
I do, and I like my body too. So. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the 60-minute suspension. We have fun here.
A lot of bromance going on.
That's too much, dude. We've been friends before George Washington took office. So yeah.
Right about
both of y'all are
time we
probably
got
younger than me, so
yeah.
I don't want to hear
it was pretty spot on with that time frame. Yeah, no, we've been friends forever. We've grown up together. Been through a lot of crazy times and a lot of drunk debacle moments. There was one time we dressed up as the Ninja Turtles, half naked Ninja Turtles.
Wait, by half naked means the bottom half or the top half?
About like completely top half and about like 40% bottom half.
Yeah.
Oh.
Breaking news though.
Yeah.
Got a little breaking news going on.
Breaking news.
Antonio Brown is actually going to be fined for his altercation with the GM.
Yeah.
And he is not happy about being fined for incident with Mike Mayock. You said, what else are we going to have? Is there going to be another choke situation?
Hey, real quick. So, sorry.
If Oakland was smart, I was going to say they would just waited to find until after week 1.
Okay, so no lie. I know we're like way over time, but Tyler, we never got around to this because we kind of forgot. And I really do want to do this before the actual season starts. This might take another 15 minutes. I'm really sorry, guys.
Another 15 minutes? I'm fucking hungry.
Sorry. You're just going to have to suck it up.
I went to Taco Bell before I came.
Yeah, so you're not smart. You need to get Taco Bell before you come. Get it? Anyways, no one got it. Just me. Anyways, dirty mind. So Tyler and I have been doing this like ranking thing pretty much all preseason on like who we think the best in the league is. We did tight ends, we did running backs, or we did dual wide receivers, something like that. We did a couple, but I wanted to do quarterbacks before the season start, and I said we would do 5. We can still do 5, but I want you guys to kind of just go through them really fast.
All right.
So don't like dissect each quarterback. But
are we talking championship caliber? Or are we talking statistical for the season for fantasy?
Just nothing fantasy. Literally, who you think is the best quarterback? Like, take championship out of it. Like, if we just went out and played backyard football, and you had 5 picks. And you had 5 picks to pick your 5 favorite best quarterbacks you think would be the best. That's kind of how we're going about this. Okay. Here, I'll go first, and we're gonna do all 5 at the same time. Okay, so no running around that. So all right, so at number 5, I would pick Deshaun Watson. I think he's really good. I think he's gonna be a great player for years to come if he stays healthy. But I think he's a really good player. He had 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2018. Good player. Number 5, I would say probably Phillip Rivers. or four. Four would be my Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, again, 32 touchdowns last season. Good quarterback. He's always been a good quarterback. He's got this weird thing, though, where he lobs the ball and it just stays in the air forever. Like, it just never comes down to the last minute. But Phillip Rivers would be my number 4. Number 3 would be Tom Brady because he's a general. He knows what he's just fucking general. Number 2 would be Patrick Mahomes. I just think he's a stud athlete. Just all around great player. And then my number one would be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, number 1 would be Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers.
You must like Florida State or something, man. Those are horrible picks.
I used to like Florida State.
That shocked me.
There you go. So those are my 5. You're the guest. You can go.
Number 5 is going to kind of shock a lot of people, but with his mindset, his winning mentality, and where he came from in college, Baker Mayfield right now.
Ooh, okay.
Number 5 overall. I like him, what he's doing. I like that he brings that field general to it. Like, he brings control. He's a leader of the team. You know when he goes out there. Number 4, I'm actually going to go with Russell Wilson. He's been there, done that. He's very mobile. He's been able to prove it without that offensive line. Number 3.
Lamar Jackson.
As much as it pains me to say this, Aaron Rodgers.
It pains you to say. Oh yeah, you're a Bears
I'm a Bears fan. So
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers has been consistent his entire career. He's still got the mobility to kind of move around, and he just gets the ball downfield. Number 2 is going to be Patrick Mahomes. Man, he slings that ball. He's able to get around. He's got a little bit more to prove, just like Baker. I think both of them will move up on the list. But number 1's old reliable, man. Drew Brees. For me, it's Drew Brees. I keep Tom Brady off the list at this point in his career, but I think Drew Brees. I mean, he's just on point, man, with what he does.
It seems like his arm never gets tired.
Yeah, and that's the biggest altercation between him and Tom Brady right now. Is Tom Brady doesn't really have the arm strength that he once had. Brees can still sling that ball down the field when he truly needs to. So, and this, the mindset and how he can stay in the pocket and move around. He's got a little bit more mobility to get away from stuff than Tom Brady does. So yeah, Brees number 1.
T-Dubs.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I like both of your lists. Good job, guys. Number 5 for me, I got to go carrying right off of that, Drew Brees. Number 5 overall, just like you said, it was a debate between Tom Brady and Drew Brees, but where they're at in their career, I think Drew Brees can just outplay Tom, no question about it. Number 4, this is going to shock you guys. I think it's going to shock a lot of people.
I swear to God, if you say Nick Foles.
Cam Newton.
Nope, Cam Newton. Yeah. I think Cam Newton is a difference maker on his team. I hate him as a player, but if you take him off the field, the Eagles are not going to win.
Just kick him in the ankle and he's out for 6 weeks.
What's that?
So all you got to do is kick Cam Newton in the ankle and he's out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. He is injury prone. He does. A lot of that came from his style of play in the beginning. Anyways, I still think he's the best player on the team and makes the difference for the Panthers.
Absolutely.
Number three, I got to go Russell Wilson. Clear cut. He could even be battling with number 2 for me if I wanted to, but only reason I'm going number 2, Deshaun Watson, is for youth. I think Deshaun Watson, he's been described as like Michael Jordan of by his Clemson coach, Dabo Swinney, and I think that's not far off of a comparison. I think he'll be a great player. And then number 1, I got to go with Pat Mahomes. Until somebody like Deshaun Watson dethrones him for that number 1 spot, I think Pat Mahomes is just killing the game. Maybe some teams catch up to, his antics and his style a little more, in his second full season of play, but I still think he's a top-tier quarterback.
It's good stuff, man. Well, that's our list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know we're really past our time here. Coco, real quick, I know you had a really popular podcast. Can we still go watch it, listen to it?
Yeah, so 1K Away was the podcast that me and my co-host Ken did for about 2 years. iHeartRadio, Android our Google Podcast, as well as Apple Podcasts as well. YouTube, Facebook, ONEKAWAY. Well over 150 episodes on there, man. We just talk about anything. We just had a ton of fun. But I'm hoping to put some stuff together with you with one of my friends.
Hope so, man.
Come on out here and start
you got some good
stuff
ideas, and I hope we can put it together because I really like what we came up with. But I don't want to spoil it yet because we got to get it down on paper and all that stuff.
Yeah, got to sign a contract.
So yeah, this is Coco. We're hopefully gonna be seeing him a little bit more often. Tyler, you got the turf. You just dropped a more recent article about AB.
Yeah, I dropped a recent article about AB or about not AB, Ezekiel Elliott.
There you go.
And then I was probably gonna have an article. Just look out for that Julio Jones article. We still got finishing up our Hard Knocks review. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and follow me over at the Turf, theturfsports.com. I'm the head NFL writer there. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, TDub5890, Instagram, TDub58. You can always follow 60 Minute Suspension as well as Amplified Network, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think. It's just great.
It's all over the place.
Go hit up those old episodes. You know, we like.
We used to just tell people too. We had so many lists. We're just like, just Google our name and it'll
that's
direct you
Literally
somewhere
just
to
Google
us.
it. There's no other Amplified Network out there. So anyways, no, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is co-host T-Dubs, our guest today, Coco, and my name is Amp. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys later.
Go Irish. Thanks, man. Go Irish.